I will say, of all the Farming Simulator intro themes, this one just completely slaps. I like watching Connor Pugs. This guy's hilarious.
Stop nagging.
Psycho kid starts a skibbity toilet cult at school. Skibbity toilet is just so interesting. I mean, I can't hate it, but I can't love it. Don't we have that? Isn't it ready? I think we need to get refuel.
How's it going? Today we got a story time of a kid who starts a skibbity toilet cult.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, and trust me, it is. Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're new and like stories, and make sure to leave a like on the video right now, because if you do, no joke guys, you will actually receive nothing at all. I know, fantastic deal. With that being said...
At least he's not gonna be like, subscribe for like, oh my god, at least he's not like, subscribe for 5 years of great luck. Like, I'm not saying like the people that do it just for a joke. Like, I'm saying people that actually try to say you're gonna get good luck if you subscribe to them. Subscribe for 2 luck, guys. Like, the best things will happen is not clickbait. You'll just, you know, just wake up and start getting the bestest luck. Or subscribe or a spider will crawl in your hand. Subscribe or I will come to your house with a 12-gauge shotgun and completely destroy everything of yours. Like, I'll first of all, I'll shoot your pottery. I'll break all your pottery, and then I'll smash your windows. Yep, no clickbait. I'll commit felony home invasion. Like.
Okay, so we're gonna call the subscriber who submitted this story Frank. Yes.
Right.
So sure enough, right. This happened a couple days ago, actually a couple weeks ago, and it was submitted to me a couple days ago. It all happened one day when Frank was, you know, chilling after school. Or so Frank usually got picked up a little bit later. His school didn't necessarily have an after-school program, and Frank's mom got out of school just like a little bit late, or he not got out of school. Frank's mom got out of work just a tad too late to not be able to pick up Frank as soon as he got out of school, but also not so much later that it would have made sense for Frank to go to a after-school program. So Frank would usually hang out for 10, 15, 20, at max 25 minutes after school got out.
Yeah.
Anyways, this day was a little bit different than usual. So yes, another thing I must mention, and I mentioned in all these skibbity toilet type kid videos, is there was a pretty crazy trend that really blew up over the summer of this animation series of like skibbity toilet. I don't even know, man, but a lot of people really like it. And if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you guys have definitely witnessed that a lot of people go a little bit farther than just simply liking it. There's definitely some kids who have developed what we will call, and a lot of people on the internet have called, skibbity toilet syndrome, where they basically just go insane. Anyways, though,
dude, how could you like worship a toilet?
Like, both hilarious, but also a little bit creepy, which I guess kind of fits since it is October 22nd. Dang, time flies. Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, this story all happened one day when the subscriber was there after school. So this day, the subscriber's mom was a little bit later than usual, and the subscriber's mom let him know before they left, saying, "Hey, do you want to go to someone's house today? Because I'm going to be like closer to like 30 to 45 minutes late. I just know I am going to be today because something going on at work." The subscriber was like, "No, it's kind of too much of a hassle for me to go to someone else's house, so I really don't mind. It's like, you know, out of school, it's fine." Anyways, though, so on this day, yes, sure enough, you know, the subscriber, like the bell rings, and the subscriber gets out, and he says goodbye to all of his friends who, you know, get picked up by their parents. So anyways, the subscriber's kind of left in the school, and because the school gets, like, locked after the janitor comes, it's kind of a weird system. In my opinion, I feel like as soon as school is over, like, the last person to leave should lock it up, and then when the janitors come later at night, or I guess early in the morning for some people, but later at night in the situation, they should unlock it, clean it, and then relock it again. But at Frank's school, the school would basically be unlocked until the janitors came, and then they would do their work, and then they would lock it on the way out. Which, I mean, I think that's probably going to be the system until some kids vandalize and then they're going to change the system. Probably just how it's going to go. Anyways, though, so for that reason...
I hate when kids ruin things for other people that, like, let's go. You know, like, there's some kids, like, there's some classes where you could eat candy, but in some classes they've completely banned it where I live at my school because people leave wrappers, and it's so annoying. Like, one person does it because they're stupid and can't pick up after themselves, and they just ruin it for everybody. That's awful. I hate it so much.
Able to stay this late, meaning his mom would come, like, 15 minutes after, and there would still be one or two kids walking around, or a teacher. Definitely the school would have been, it would have been a lot less people in the school at that point, but not to this degree. It really felt like he was the only kid in the school.
I love that feeling.
Yeah, so anyways, on this day, he was there. Because this day, he was there late enough that it truly felt like no one else was there in the school. This, of course, was not the case. Anyways, this subscriber was kind of like walking down the hallways, whatever. And it wasn't really creepy yet. It really had this kind of cool sensation of, wow, like, I guess this is what my school is like when it was here. I never
I like that feeling.
And it's actually kind of a cool thing. You go to your school.
I remember once, okay, so, I remember once when we were going to school with COVID, that's when we all had masks. I think some dude got COVID, okay? And everybody could not go to school. However, the principal said, hey, the special ed students, if you want to come to school, you can come to school. And if I've really discussed this multiple times on my channel, I am a special ed student. There's nothing bad with that. It's actually pretty nice being able to, like, get your own education a little bit easier. That way you don't have to struggle. Like, special ed, it's kind of like an equity thing, you know, like, for example, everybody gets a stool to look over the wall instead of, you know, for example, like, equality is like, for example, everybody gets a stool that's 1 foot tall. Meanwhile, equity is everybody gets a stool that will fit them to stand up onto it that makes everybody equal size. You know what I mean? Like, equity is, I think if I'm not wrong, equity is like giving everybody a thing that makes everybody else equal. I don't know. Anyway, like, I got to go to school and it was interesting. I mean, I recorded it. Like, it was so eerie. Like, it was almost like some liminal space stuff. Like, I went to the library, no one was there. Oh, a lot of teachers are still there. But hey, that, like the school went from, like, having 500 bustling kids into it to, like, having at most 20 or 50 people inside of it. So this place is, like, almost like a bomb threat. Because COVID basically ravaged through it. Or COVID basically shut it down. One thing I do regret doing is I regret not buying, like, a Mira Safety CM8M gas mask and going in. Some kid actually ended up bringing a gas mask, an actual NATO gas mask, into class. And I'm like, holy hell, this dude actually has a NATO grade gas mask. It was actually pretty funny.
The buzz of people walking through.
Yeah, it works.
It's interesting, but definitely it can become eerie if you're there for too long or in the wrong mindset or whatever. It very easily can become eerie. It almost just, it's like that sensation of something is mostly right and something is like slightly off. And I don't know, that's like one of the creepiest things to me. Anyways, though, so the subscribers walking around and just like kind of admiring like the school, like it's not admiring. I think just like kind of being like, wow, like no one else is here. Like this is kind of cool. But then pretty shortly after, it became a little bit eerie. The subscribers sometimes, man.
Okay.
I can't really explain these things.
Imagine if this road was not here, and I connect.
And a lot of times
I can connect this big field to field like 60, 69, 68. I can connect field 69 and 70 together. Like, imagine that.
These kind of sensations. I generally think that it's a good idea to, just because, you know, why not? Like, unless the sensation's like, ooh, gamble all your money, ooh, okay, then yeah, obviously, man, maybe don't listen to the sensation. But if you're not going to lose anything from paying attention to your instincts, then sometimes I just say just listen to your instincts, even if they don't make sense, like whatever. If you're not going to lose anything, man, you might lose something by not paying attention to them.
I have to say this. A lot of the times, I keep seeing quad tracks in real life, and they don't pull, and they're pulling cultivators, right, most of the time, when they're in that this year. They're not pulling, like, the black one. Oh, wait, is the black one here? Did they remove the big black cultivator? I think they did, because in 19 they had this giant cultivator. It was like 37 meters long. It was a big cultivator. Anyway, like they're not pulling. Like they're not pulling like this. Like they're not pulling these big old cultivator things. They're pulling like they're pulling like this. It's like, dude, you know you can go up, right? Like you don't have to like. These things I've told you so many times, but those the case disc harrows are actually manufactured only like 15 minutes away from me. They're manufactured in Goodfield, Illinois. I live very close to the factory that makes those.
Sometimes there are things that our conscious doesn't pick up on, but we've been wired to pick up on through like thousands of years of evolution. Anyways, though. So anyways, for some reason, something just kind of switched in the subscriber. You know, you started to feel like, it started to feel a little bit eerie. It started to feel a little bit uncanny. And I know this is definitely true when I walked in spaces where normally there's tons of people. For example, I actually stayed over my fall break. I stayed at my college. And I did this last year, and I'll talk about my experience last year briefly. So I just like the break wasn't long enough for me to justify going all the way home, as that's kind of expensive. And I stayed here over break, and it was just very surreal. It was like everything was exactly the same, but minus everything that made it what it was, which, you know, it can give you the creepy feelings. But the subscriber actually had a genuine reason for this. So the subscriber was like, okay, you know what, because the subscriber had been wandering through all the halls of the school at this point, and the subscriber was kind of like, okay, I think I'm just going to go back at this point. I'm just going to stand outside. I'll just wait outside, because I don't know, I just feel like the outside's not creepy, man. So the subscriber was like, okay, man, you know, I'm just gonna like walk outside, and then, you know, I'll just wait for my mom out there, even though I probably got another like 20 minutes. Like, exploring the school was cool and all, but I just kind of have this weird feeling, so I'm just gonna leave because I don't want to be in here anymore. Which only if people in horror movies like just like paid attention to this like instinct of don't go in the place where you're feeling.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, it's not an insult, but okay, it's typical. Why is there stereotypical white blonde girls in horror movies that perform the dumbest actions ever? Or it's some jock dude, or some jock like football dude, ex-blonde cheerleading girl that does like the worst horror movie like sins. Like, hey look! They hear the sound in the woods, are like, huh, that seems kind of cool. I'm gonna go check it out. Meanwhile, they get absolutely like soul sucked, or they get like chainsawed to death, or something. Like, why is that? I don't get it.
Then they probably would have a better chance of survival when their survival rate's like 0%. I mean, the plot armor, it's like an inverse plot armor, man. They can't survive, man. Some Final Destination type something. Anyways, though, so yeah, the subscriber is pretty deep within the school. He was venturing in pretty far, which might be part of the reason why he got creeped out. But as he's walking out, this is where things start to get really, really weird. Yes. So anyways, the subscriber is walking back, and he's walking by. So inside they have like one really big school building. It has everything from the classrooms to the lunchroom to the gymnasium, to the indoor gymnasium, I should say. Everything's included in there. So he happened to have walked all the way into the lunchroom, and that's when he felt kind of this weird feeling. Probably because the space was so big and was like so vast, and he just like, I think that's really when it kind of like the sensation hurt him. I think there's like a name for this sensation, but I just don't know what it is. Anyways, though, so the subscriber walks by, as he's walking back, he walks by the gymnasium. And that's when he realizes that, no, in fact, he is not the only person still at the school. So there's this kind of like faint talking noise coming from inside the gymnasium. or coming from what?
I'm the
like,
person
like
that where
the
if I feel like I'm the only one, I'm gonna
big
sneak
metal
around, not like make
shut.
myself known.
And he walks by it and thought,
I usually
like
sneak
noise or
around
something.
areas.
And so he's kind of like, oh, okay, he stops for a second. Which, once again, like maybe, I don't know, I'd be kind of curious too, but also if I'm already scared, man, that would have made me jump, and that would have made me sprint out of there. Like,
Imagine this is dead at night.
Curious, I'm all for discovering,
Or like this is after sundown. Because I'm not kidding you, when I used to do Nerf Club, I would always remember it would be a little bit kind of like, the sun would be kind of going down, and then when I left, it was like pitch black. I mean, dude, I love Nerf Club, but there's one thing I did not like about it. You see this? This is my entire Nerf collection. Except for at the time I didn't have all these blue guns right here. Right? So I have the big gun. I have all those red ones. Every single night, I'd have to haul those in. And then I'd have to haul a 20, 30-pound box called the PPS-4. And let me tell you about the PPS-4. It's one of the coolest things I've ever designed. I designed it, my dad built it. I basically was able to put my PS4 inside of it, and it had its own screen. So all you, like, if you plugged your PS4 into it, you plugged the power cable in to this strip, and you plugged in the HDMI cord. All you have to do is set the box down, open it up, and plug in the extension cord into like a wall, and you could game. The sound quality was awful, but you could actually dead-ass play this PS4 on the go. And when I showed this to my friends, they're like, wow. They're like, what the hell? Like, oh yeah, right, I built a portable PlayStation. Well, my PlayStation, man, every time I see the PS4 go on, it actually gives me PS3 vibes. It is a little bit sad how, like, you know, I can't get the background to a PS5 anymore, but I like the PS5's interface and stuff a lot more.
Like this, I'm really getting my butt out of there, bro. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, especially for my butt, man. That's getting out of there. Anyway, so yeah, sure enough, the subscriber, he kind of just like, he decides that he's curious enough. So he's kind of creeped out, and he stops and he turns to look at the gymnasium door. And he sees that it's like all of the lights, they're not black lights, they're like knobs or motion sensors. And maybe they're just like shut off. No, I don't actually know. For some reason, it was kind of like dark or whatever, which definitely helped it be creepy. But he saw kind of like a faint light or whatever coming from, you know, the inside of, like, coming from like the bottom of the door. You know how like if you're like in like a dark hallway and when someone turns on a light in a room and the door closed, that there's like an illumination, like the outline of the door is illuminated. Well, that basically was faintly true for this door. So at this point, the subscriber kind of realized that, like, definitely someone was in there. So anyways, the subscriber, this is already sounding like a horror movie at this point, which is perfect because it's basically, you know, October. It's basically Halloween, man. God, I gotta come up with a costume. Oh no, wait a minute, I need a costume, man. I think I'm honestly gonna be pretty cool once again if anyone wants the office. I find that funny. Anyways, though, I don't want to break the mood anymore because we're kind of getting a little bit of suspense. So yeah, he kind of decides to push up to the door and try and peek through the cracks to try and get a sense of what's going on. He doesn't want to push through the door, right? He doesn't want to open up the door, just blindly see what's going on in there. But his curiosity is at the point where he does actually want to see what's going on. So the subscriber, like, goes up to the door and starts to hear, like, the mumbling a little bit more clearly. However, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to him. It sounds unintelligible. It doesn't sound necessarily like
you can't understand
English, if that makes sense. Yeah, so anyways, the subscriber pushes his kind of like ear up to the door, and, or no, not pushes his ear up, pushes kind of like his eye up to try and see through one of the cracks. So he tries to see through, and the inside of the gymnasium is not really well lit as the lights are not on. However, as I said earlier, there was some illumination, not full illumination, it's not like the lights were blaring, but there was some light that was kind of emanating through the cracks of the door, so that piqued the subscriber's interest in the first place after he kind of heard some noise. So he tries to look through, like, what might be the keyhole. I don't think it's an actual keyhole, because I don't think this is the type of door to have a key, but some kind of crack, some kind of something where you can look through, but your view is a little bit, it's not the greatest view, right? you'll get like a little bit of you can kind of see what's going on in there. So anyways, the subscribers.
It is calming.
Gymnasium. And what he sees is very.
That is one thing. Is that farming is like you can barely even rage at it. Except for if you waste your money on accident. This auger is super duper thick compared to the other combine's auger.
Well, most of it is dark, but in the gymnasium, I mean, like, think of like big basketball court type thing with stands and whatever. Very classic high school, whatever. So he looks through, and he sees that it looks like in the center of the court that there are some people standing in there, and they seem to be standing in what appears to be a circle.
Oh God.
Spooky. And they seem to be kind of like mumbling to each other.
Oh hell no.
Anyways,
okay, can you imagine that you're in the gymnasium
lights coming from,
or in a room, I don't know, and you see people in their school, like after school, and they're mumbling to each other in a circle. Yep, that's when you say, nope, I'm not going to let my skin be hanging from a totem. I'm going to leave. Yeah, that's straight up how you get skinned like a raccoon right there. Like, that's creepy as hell. Imagine actually finding that at your school. I'd like, yeah, I'm going to conceal carry pepper spray on me at all times at the school now. Can you imagine seeing these kids the next day, like, being like, oh, you're in a cold.
From the very beginning. And he looks closer and he sees that the lighting is actually what appears to be candlelight, right? Maybe it's a fake candle. I don't know.
Okay, what the hell?
At least aesthetically, candlelight, which is like creepy. Really
okay, they're not actually using they're using candles, which makes it worse.
The subscriber's kind of like, what? He just looks closer. He kind of like presses his head up against the door, right? And so he's really just trying to get a better look because whatever he's looking through is.
So that's why when you actually get the entire header is used.
Actually, what I'm seeing, and he witnesses as the people who are standing in a circle all kind of like join hands for a second, and that's when like. I don't know, like, obviously the subscriber does not have a PhD in occult practices or anything, but he's seen a few too many horror movies to know that this is probably very weird. So the subscriber is kind of like, tries to get a closer look, and he's like pushing his head against, I think you guys can kind of see where this is going. So the subscriber tries to get a closer look and kind of like pushes his eye up to kind of like the peephole or whatever. There it is.
That is actually weird. It's insane people actually do this.
And that's one probably the worst sound of all time he hears. The mechanical opening of the door. Because this is one of those big metal doors. So it doesn't like open a little bit. It goes like, and like the subscriber.
That's when you run. Like, even though it's a high school or like a middle school, it's when you run your ass off.
And he because he pushed through the door, he basically leaned on the door, which was not a good call, whatever. And at this point, everyone like turns around and like looks at him. And it's weird because like, their hoods are down, they have like hoodies on or whatever, and they have these like cheap masks that they found on Amazon or whatever. I don't think that's symbolism. I think they were just like masks that you can find on Amazon very cheaply. But the subscriber makes quote unquote eye contact with at least a few of them. Eye contact, I put in quote unquote just because, you can't really make eye contact with someone with a mask. However, they can look at your eyes and see your face. So at this point, the subscriber kind of like catches himself, closes the door, like it pulls on the door, but it's one of those mechanical doors, so there's a little bit it's as if you're pulling it through like a big jar of molasses or something, and just quickly turns around and just starts running. The subscriber at this point has like the adrenaline levels that he's never felt before, and he just starts running. Yeah, so at this point, the subscriber is just
running.
He thinks he's really working on muscle memory just to get him out of the just to get him out of the school. So, anyways, the subscriber eventually pushes through the doors of the school and just like stands like super. He just like gets as far out onto the curb as possible without leaving the premises of the school, so his mom picks him up in the right place. The subscriber is just so unbelievably paranoid, which I can completely understand. And he's like looking back at the windows of the school, which you can't actually see through the windows at that point because the lights are turned off, so they're basically dark. And a few times the subscriber feels as if he saw like a face in the window looking at him or whatever. But the subscriber does say on kind of like recalling back to that point, he can't confirm nor deny like really with any sense of he can't confirm, is what he's saying. They were continuing to watch him through the windows. He thinks that it is fairly likely that he might have just been paranoid after the events that just occurred, which honestly I would have been too. So the subscriber's mom picks him up. The subscriber's mom immediately is like, "What's up?" I don't know, man. I feel like moms can really just pick up when something is wrong, even when you think like you're like, like something just happened. Like when you think that you're being sly or you're not showing it, whatever. I feel like moms.
Yeah, I get it. Like they can see right through you.
Scary accuracy. So, anyways, the subscriber's like, "Oh, nothing. I'm nothing." And she's like, "Nothing?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." The subscriber's mom gives him a look like, "Okay, I definitely don't believe you, but I'm gonna let you decide if you want to talk about it." That kind of look. Anyways, though, so understandably, the subscriber was not really able to sleep that night. And the next day, he gets into school, and he's walking with his friends, and his friends notice that like the subscriber like stops when they walk by the gymnasium because they're all going to lunch. And as you might recall, the subscriber had to pass by the gymnasium to get to the lunchroom and to go back. Anyways, so one of his friends like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" The subscriber's like, "Nothing. Like, you're not gonna believe me." And obviously, when someone says you're not gonna believe me, that's when it gets interesting. So his friends were like, "Yeah, look, well, okay, well, tell us." And he's like, "I was here, like, you're not gonna believe me, but I'll just say it anyways." He said, and he basically goes down the story.
We're almost done. No, we're not. We're not almost done.
So some of his friends are like, "Dude,
like with this section."
But one of his friends was like, "Dude,
I don't think we're almost done.
What that was?" The subscriber's like, "What?" Like, what do you mean you might know what that was? And the kid's like, "Dude, like, I was hearing like some rumors going around and like something really strange is going on. Like a group of kids are like organizing around some kind of like internet thing, and it's like really weird. I don't totally get it."
Yeah, for this small section,
like, "Do you know anything else?" And he's like, "No, that really is the extent of the rumor. I kind of just didn't care." So I'm like, "Oh, who cares, right?" So the subscriber throughout class is thinking about that all day. And once again, it comes to a situation where at the end of the day, his mom's going to be not 45 minutes late.
That's when you gather your friends and you have a bunch of like Orbeez blasters and you sneak them in after school. I don't know if I'd do that. And you just blast the cult to smithereens with Orbeez guns. This thing that shoots those little Orbeez gel things, gel blasters.
Anyway, so the subscriber, he opens up his locker, and so the lockers at the school, I think lockers kind of
have like the little air slits in them.
Lockers, meaning that there is like a ventilation thing on them. That also means that something in theory could be slipped in the grades. So anyways, the opens the locker to grab something, and he notices that there's a piece of paper folded in half that is slipped into his locker. So he picks it up and kind of realizes right away that there's like writing on it, so he immediately gets the chills and is like, "I'm not opening this up in here." So the subscriber grabs his bag, and at this point he's not completely alone in the school. There's like one or two other kids, so he feels a little bit more safe, but he's still trying to get out of there. So the subscriber grabs the letter and like runs out and like waits outside with some of the other kids who just want to come. So the subscriber unfolds the letter, and it is addressed to him, first and last name, which is already terrifying. Right?
First and last name.
The lockers don't have names on them.
They know your last.
You look up a name, find the locker, and do that. They have to do extensive research.
They do.
So
yeah, like my lockers are numbered.
I don't remember exactly what, or not that I remember, but the subscriber like got rid of the letter. Like he just doesn't have the letter. Like he freaked him out. Like he genuinely. Like, I think he showed some of his friends and said, "Hey, take this. I don't want to hold on to it." I don't know. So I can understand the subscribers still weirded out. So he kind of said that essentially what it said was like, "Look, we know that you've like stumbled upon our meetings yesterday. It said like, if you're interested in joining, and this is where it gets, this is where the creepiness kind of turns to goofiness. If you're, but it's also still kind of creepy. It's like, if you are interested in the Snoopy cult, then like."
That's actually seen it. Like they're not worshiping Satan or anything, or anything dark. They're just worshiping a toilet.
Tell no one, like let no one know, bring no one, only bring yourself. And they're like being all like spooky with it.
So imagine you have a bladder ball gun, just
skip it, like.
And you can see the kids in the next day. They have like welts all over their face. Psycho Kids wants me to join That's a sacrifice he just giving. Oh my god, I just love funny stories like these. These always make me happy.
I genuinely don't know how to start this video, man, but today we got a story that was submitted to me last night. I was going through my Instagram inbox, which if you want to submit stories, go to Instagram, look up Connor Pugs, and DM me your story. I was going through my inbox and I found a story that said, simply, the first line was, "Kid tries to sacrifice me to Skibidi Toilet." And I just knew at that very second that that had to be the story that we told today. Today I got a story for you guys submitted last night of a kid who tries to sacrifice the subscriber to Skibidi Toilet. In a whole ritual type thing, it's actually the most insane thing ever. I know you guys will enjoy the story, so I ask you to sit back, relax, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you're watching this and you're not already subscribed. If you want to get your free cringe goggles to survive this story, you need to be subscribed. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. Yeah, so anyways, we're going to call the subscriber...
Imagine that, you will be sacrificed to Skibidi!
This happened extremely recently, meaning like a week ago, and I just got this story last night. There's been my whole inbox has been absolutely flooded with these Skibidi Toilet kids. So if you don't know, Skibidi Toilet basically is like this thing on YouTube. It's like this, it's this whole show, meme type, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But what is important is that there's a whole bunch of kids who basically get infected by this Skibidi.
Here's one of my...
Basically. By the way, if you like the Skibidi Toilet, that's fine, man. I actually genuinely don't care. Like, you're allowed to like what you want. But please don't be sacrificing anyone, including me, Skibidi Toilet, man. Like, I swear, if I walk in my dorm room and I see one of you guys with like a 10-inch knife saying like, "Hey man, sorry, but your time has come,"
Tactical.
Actually sacrificed to Skibidi Toilet, then that's where I've gone wrong. But anyways, this story all starts a couple weeks ago. The whole thing goes down about a week ago, but it starts a couple weeks ago. So in subscriber Will, in his class, there's a kid we're going to call Ben, which, if you're new to the channel, you're probably confused why every single Skibidi Toilet, Ricky hater, cringy kid, whatever, they're always called Ben. That's just kind of a meme on the channel.
Batteries on?
I was just really lazy with naming people, and I always called the secondary character Ben, and it kind of became the meme. Anyways, we're going to call this kid Ben. So,
hello. Man, I need to fire one of these. I should get myself some Orbeez. Oh, here it is. Oh, this battery's so dead. Come on. Come on, buddy. Get out. Get out. Get out, get out, get out. I think there's like one dead and there's one... Oh, here it goes. Yep, there it is. That's what it sounds like. That's not even fully charged, and that's what it is. I don't have Orbeez. I always it goes. You know how many wasps I've actually killed? Okay. So let me tell you mini story time, folks. This is actually kind of funny. So I live in a log cabin, okay? If you don't know what a log cabin is, it's very simple. It's a house literally built by logs. So unlike people's houses that are like built with drywall and like those fancy, no, we're built with a log cabin. So here's the problem about living in a log cabin. You have these things called carpenter bees. Now, they're my enemy. But Reese, why would you kill bee? No. I'm farming soybeans. These are not your honeybees where they're critically endangered. No, these are wood bees. Wood bees are not endangered, and they are pests, and they destroy your house. I'm farming soybeans. Now, wood bees will burrow into your house, and they'll lay their eggs where they'll multiply, and then there will be more bees, and then they'll destroy your house even faster. Now, we have literally tried everything from a salt shotgun, which I don't know if I have one down here, but it's a oh yeah, wood bees, like they're like honeybees. If you leave them alone, they're okay. Wood bees are assholes. Okay, they will completely swarm you. They don't really sting, which is weird. They will completely swarm you. They will tear up your house. Now, we have tried anything from a salt shotgun, which basically, if you don't know, it's like a Nerf gun, but it shoots salt and it kills flies. However, the problem is wood bees are impervious to this. We've even tried 22 caliber shot shell, which is a bullet that has it's like rat shot, and when you shoot these bees, they explode into pieces like a bloatfly from Fallout 4. Now, the problem is they are. And the problem is, if you shoot your house, well, guess what? You might risk some of the bullets ricocheting back into yourself, or you might just damage the house outright. However, I got a Orbeez gun, the SRB 1200, which the first gun shoots like 8 rounds a second, and it has 200 rounds of capacity. This new gun I got costs like $10 more than the other one. It costs $80, not like 100 or 200. It only costs like $80. This bad boy shoots 11 rounds a second and holds 800 balls of capacity. So I started going out. I'm messing with this Orbeez gun because I'm happy to play with it. And I'm like, oh, there's a wood bee. So I shoot it, and it just takes this dude down. And once he's down, I squash him. I'm like, oh my god. And I show my dad, and I'm like, dude, this Orbeez gun I bought destroys wood bees very fast. And so I'm not joking you. I keep testing it, and it works. My count, I've murdered over 70 wood bees. Like, before I got this Orbeez blaster, they were always swarming the house. They were always, like, buzzing around. And, like, 3 weeks after I got it, nothing. I have not seen a wood bee. I have not seen a wood bee 3 weeks after I've gotten that Orbeez gun. If I see one, like, maybe there's, like, 1 or 2. And now there's just none. It's funny. They just completely wiped them out. I've even destroyed wasps' nests with it. When you destroy a wasp nest by hitting it, they know that you're attacking it. But when you attack the wasp nest with a gun, they don't know what's attacking it. I've even attacked a wasp nest, like, now remember, it's a story time. My grandpa had this hornet's nest. When I'm saying this hornet's nest, I mean, it was the size of, like, 2 basketballs. It's a big hornet's nest. And these are yellow jackets. Now, wasps are one thing. Yellow jackets are mean. They will sting you. They will attack you. Like, yellow jackets are awful. They're aggressive. They will not relent. So, we saw this video of a drone flying near a wasp nest, and they went to attack it only for, like, the wasp be sucked into the blades, cut up violently, and killed instantly. So we try this. We fly my drone, and essentially, I kill at least, like, I've killed at least, like, 30. Like, we start murdering these hornets. And at one point, I launched the drone really close to the entrance of the hive, so as they came out to deal with what was going to attack their nest, they got sucked into the blades and violently eviscerated. Like, I've seen them get cut in half. And eventually, like, they died. A hornet's nest, like, my aunt had another hornet's nest, so what does my dad do? My dad does he take bug spray or bat? He takes a shotgun, and he shoots this bad boy nest down. And it actually works. If you have a nest, and it's hanging on a tree, shotguns eviscerate very good. What I would have loved to see is if he would have used dragon's breath. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, going back to the Orbeez gun, you know, the salt is not effective. The bullets will completely damage the house. However, the Orbeez, 10,000 Orbeez, does it cost $50? Try 10. 10,000 Orbeez costs 10. $100 of Orbeez can get you 100,000 shots. Let me tell you. I mean, it doesn't sound like much. Divide by 800, right? I could kill about 4 or 5 bees with 800 rounds. That sounds like bad, like it's not accurate. It's because Orbeez guns are not accurate because the size of the Orbeez, like, they're not perfectly round all the time because of how their chemistry works. So basically, a lot of the Orbeez guns are accurate or rapid fire because you cannot hit anything with single fire that's smaller than like a basketball. So let's see. So let's see. I did the math. So I think like a full cartridge of 30 shot shell costs like $20 or I don't know, but okay, so like 22 millimeter shot shell costs like 50 cents per bullet. Now, you know, a cartridge costs 20 cartridges of those would cost $10. Or what's it called? You could kill theoretically 20 bees with $10, 22, or you could kill up to like 50 of them with $10 of Orbeez. So I discovered that Orbeez is actually more effective, cost effective at eliminating wood bees than 22 caliber bullets. With the money you could buy for a gun, you could buy an Orbeez blaster and the ammo, and you could exterminate hundreds of wood bees. I honestly hope they come back again so I can completely eviscerate them again. Like at that point, I got bored, like, of killing them. Like I was going to war with these stupid things. Now it's almost November, so they're gone. They're usually gone by August. Now it's October 28th. So yeah, they've completely been wiped out, like off the face of the map, wiped out. That's just a funny story, one of the funniest stories I've ever had. It's the fact that this, let's say like 80% left. Anyway, on with the story.
Kid Ben was actually quite a normal kid before this summer happened. I mean, it's not as if that Will and Ben were like boys, super tight, like they were the closest people ever. Like, that's definitely not true. Like, you're definitely right by saying that they weren't the closest people ever. However, Will tells me that Ben was actually a pretty normal kid before this summer happened. Yeah, so basically over the summer there was a rise in popularity of the Skippity toilet, whatever meme show type thing with like the 50,000 part episode.
What temperature does not support hydrogen sulfur? What? What do you mean? Oh, adding on, I have this coworker at my job I'm gonna go to in like an hour. He's different. He told me that if you mix, I cannot believe this, man. He's mixed gasoline and Orbeez, and he says that you can basically make a flammable Orbeez. I'm like, dude, why? He's weird, but he's funny as hell too. He's told me, like, once this drunk dude would in high school, this drunk dude would always drive close to him and almost run him over, so he took a CO2 pistol, removed the restrictor, and shot out all of his windows. He's even told me this one kid was flexing his car, so he dumped sugar down it, and this one kid at my school, he got sugared. Basically, if you run an engine and, like, fuel, when you put it into a vehicle, it has to be pure. There's no extra fuel in it, or no extra water. It has to be fuel. If it is something else, it will mess up your engine. So this kid, I don't know what happened, if he like triggered somebody. Somebody put sugar in his gas tank, and that will ruin your gas block if you run your engine. Or it'll run your engine block. So his engine block got absolutely eviscerated. And I'd always I don't want to say bully him, but I'd always like kind of like make the insult, I'm gonna call a kid like Tom. Tom's Tom's mental processing doesn't work, just like his truck. And he'd always get like a little bit irate at me. It was funny. Like, it wasn't like the bullying thing. Like, we like kind of like had our jokes in class. You know, like how like a class has like a movie has, or a TV show has, like, what's it called? What's it called? I can't remember what they're called. Like, almost like inside jokes. Thanks. Like, they have, they have like a gag, right? For example, in TMNT 2012, like, one of the common gags is, like, Baxter Stockman is always not called by his correct name. Like, that's a common gag in that show. Or a common gag in this channel is I can't be smart and do anything correctly. JK. Like, I always like say to this one girl, I'm like, what's it called? Like, can blank student see over the steering wheel yet? And I'd always do that, and she'd get so irate at me. So she'd be like, stop. Oh, thanks. Okay, I will say, I'm sorry if I switched topics a little bit. I'm so irate at one thing right now. My video, Radioactive Rock at College, was blowing up, okay? And then all of a sudden, boom, no views. Like, ready? I'll show you. Where's my video at? Home, Radioactive Rock at College, go to Analytics. You ready for this BS? Look at this. Look at this. Like, right? So it's going up. It's skyrocketing, and then, ready? And boom. Flatline. What is this? How does this happen? Okay? Like, if it were like, you know, like, boo, like it kind of curves a little bit, like, I'd kind of be more understanding, but that's a flat line. That looks like my heart at age 105. Like, there's nothing there. I'm not mad that I cannot get views. I'm more mad that the fact, like, it doesn't curve and kind of stop. Like, it's like, it doesn't go like this where it curves. It goes done. Like, dead. Like, it was blowing up, too. Like, I usually get, like, it takes my videos months to get hundreds of views. This video got like 600 views and it's only like 9 days old. Which is insane. It's like, why? Here's a video. Audio of the video.
I'm in Harlem Community College right now. And, you know, just chilling out. That's what I do. So I'm actually, I like to kind of go around.
So, yeah. I'll probably end it in an hour, or an hour and 20 minutes maybe. Anyway, you know, I cannot wait till if I ever have kids, I want to tell that story, like, you know, one day, what did I find at school? Did I find, you know, 2 couples kissing in the bathroom? Did I find a vape? No. I found uranium ore in the rock bed. Like, actually no cap, I legit found uranium ore at my college. I talked to the geologist, and she's like, it's sulfur. I'm like, I'm like, nope, it's not sulfur. It's not sulfur. Okay? Like, let me get the picture, right? Here's a close-up of the rock. You ready for it? I'm gonna show. This is what the rock looks like. Oh my god. That is what this rock looks like, right? Now, this is what sulfur looks like. Now, it doesn't look any different, but look, see how it's brighter yellow? Meanwhile, we go back to my channel, and it's got this fadey yellow, right? So let's go back, and this is sulfur. This is not sulfur. That is not sulfur. Because I looked it up. Let's go to sulfur. Okay? Sulfur. Let's go to the periodic, or let's go to Wikipedia. Now, if you don't know, sulfur, there a lot of the elements on planet Earth have stable and unstable compounds. Now, sulfur, let's see, it's abundant. It has sulfur 32, stable, 94.8% in the nature. Okay, so 94.8% of sulfur in nature is sulfur 32. So 0.76% of sulfur in nature is sulfur 33. It's stable. 4.37% is sulfur 34. That's stable. 0.02% is sulfur 36, which is stable. And trace, which means that like it's barely even found. A trace amount, like a very small amount, is sulfur 35, which is radioactive, which decays in beta radiation. Okay, it says that only decays in beta radiation, and it decays in 84 days. Yeah, there are a bunch of radioactive elements of sulfur, but they're like milliseconds, which it'd be way more radioactive. And if it was actually a sulfur isotope, you wouldn't find that in nature, because they're so radioactive they just decay right there and then. So I'm like looking around, and I'm looking around like the offices for the teachers, and I see the same lady that's like saying it's sulfur. I'm like, nope, I'm not arguing with this person. Like, I don't hate them. I'm like, I kept saying it's not sulfur. Like, it's sulfur. I'm like, yeah, does sulfur sound like what happens when you take your Geiger counter into the reactor in Fallout 4? Like, no. However, that I have identified it, possibly identified it, as a material known as carnotite. Carnotite is a yellow, grayish metal, and it is noted to be very radioactive. And it has 52% of its weight in uranium alone. Carnotite is a secondary ore of uranium behind things like pitchblende and uraninite. Now, I'm going to take my UV pen to the school, and I'm going to see if it fluoresces. If it doesn't, it's carnotite. If it does, it's uraninite. It is. Oh, it's like potassium, uranium, oxygen. Yeah, some, like, there's radioactive elements, or isotopes, like there's radioactive iron, there's radioactive gold, but you have to synthetically produce those. In a particle accelerator or in a lab, you cannot find them in nature. They're all synthetic, man-made isotopes. And, okay, now let's pay attention to this, right? So trace amount of sulfur is found as beta decay. On my alpha radiation detector, I got 350 microsieverts an hour. On my beta radiation detector, I got 80 microsieverts an hour. So it's got pretty high beta. However, it has pretty high alpha, right? And guess what? Sulfur, the radioactive variants, do not emit alpha rays. This thing was throwing out alpha rays just like our current president throws out money. And it was throwing out alpha rays like crazy. Here, I'll let you listen to the Geiger counter.
This hit, and you see that's like 1.27. It's getting up to like 0.2.
That's what it's supposed to sound like, right?
I'm like, what the world's going on here? And then I'm like scanning rocks, and I'm like, I guess that kind of looks interesting right there. So I go look at it, and
yeah, that's not what sulfur sounds like. Okay, now I'm gonna play a video I've not released to YouTube. This is when I went to the rock with the beta detector. Now, I'm gonna turn it on right now. Right here it is. Beep. Now it's gonna click. And this is natural radiation, right? See how little it's clicking? It's not doing that much. It's just kind of clicking off and on here. See how little it's clicking now? So, if you see it, I don't know if you can. Yeah, you can't. But it's reading at 0.10 microsieverts an hour, which is good. That's very low. If it's not going above like 0.3 or 0.4, it's pretty good. It's at 0.10. And that's a little bit higher because I live in Woodford County, and Woodford County is a radon county. We have a lot of radon where I live. Now this is what it sounds like when you put it up to the thing. Yeah, I don't think that sounds pretty safe. Sounds like popcorn.
Wow, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
God.
I've never pushed a Geiger counter this high. Yeah. Basically, I've seen radioactive objects. I actually have a lot of radioactive objects in my house. Yes, I know. I have a radioactive radium dial, I have Fiestware, a ton of uranium glass. However, my most radioactive thing I own is a piece of orange Fiestware that goes up to 102 microsieverts an hour. This rock goes to 320 when measured with the same detector. What, 300? 320, 350 versus 120. By weight, orange Fiestaware contains, I think, 22% uranium. This stuff can contain up to 50%, but I calculate it could, well, go a little bit over 70%. And here's what amazes me. If somebody has dealt with this rock, they don't even know what it is, most likely. They think it's sulfur, but I'm like, no. Because I usually go around my college with a Geiger counter and see if I can find anything special, and one of my most targeted things are rocks, because rocks... Let's go. I'm talking so much again, sore throat. That's okay. Because I'll target rocks because uranium is somewhat pretty common in nature. In fact, I've noticed that rock beds are actually double the background radiation, which isn't bad. They're just radioactive because a lot of them are igneous, and when they're ejected from volcanoes, they melt with uranium deposits. And yeah. I told my bio teacher. I've also told a few people. Now, I'm kind of careful who I tell this to because a lot of people are radiophobic. No, that's actually not a made-up term. That is actually a phobia. Search up radiophobia. It's the fear of ionizing radiation. My opinion, radiophobia is one of the most common phobias. But most people, when they hear the term radiation, they freak the hell out. You know, I'm like, okay, hold my beer. People don't know what radiation is. Well, radiation... Well, yeah, that's kind of stupid. Like, phobia is such a stupid word. Like, for example, like xenophobia. Like, apparently the fear or bigotry of other races. Basically, it's racism. Like, you're scared of other races, but by definition, it's racism. Like, English language is stupid. Like, for example, slaughter. You remove the S from slaughter. Laughter. What? Like, what? Where does that come from? Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway. Huh. Yes, sir. Fear of ionization. Anyway, radiation is the transfer of energy in a beam. For example, if you give me a second after I get this dude started. Okay, you might want to be careful. It's gonna get bright here. I'm gonna blast you with radiation right now. Yep, you just got hit by radiation. Or, well, you could. But flashlights aren't radioactive, right? You're saying, then I'd be suggesting my flashlight is radioactive, but not really. So what's the deal? It's because by definition, radiation is a beam of energy. Now this could be as simple as light. It could be sound. Right now, you can hear this rays of sound coming from your speaker to your ears. That's radiation. Radiation can also be radios. Right now, you're being subjected to radios because when I'm broadcasting, my data is going from here to my PS to the internet to your phone or whatever you're watching this on to you, basically. The radio waves transmit that. Radio waves are a radiation. However, there's two types of radiation. There is ionizing radiation, and there's non-ionizing radiation. Things like radios, microwaves, infrared, visible light, all those are non-ionizing radiations, which means that they don't have the power to knock electrons off atoms or destroy your cells. UV, X-rays, and gamma rays are ionizing. UVs, that's why UV exposure, over UV exposure, can cause cancer. However, you're better you're defended against UV more if you have darker skin color. And this is simple because people with darker skin colors have what's known as melanin. Melanin has the ability to deflect UV rays, and thus, the darker the skin color, the less likely to have skin cancer you are. It's called evolution because basically, when people came from Africa, which that's where the origin of humanity is, evolution said, hey, there's so much UV here because take the sun and aim it at the earth, right? The earth tilts. No matter what time of day it is, no matter the time of the year, the equator gets hit with the most UV. Africa, South America, and I think some of these parts of Southeast Asia are on the equator. So therefore, the more closer to the equator you go, the darker skin colors you'll find, and the closer to the North and South Pole, the whiter. Oh god, it's repeating my chat. Now, people with darker skin colors can have difficulties absorbing vitamin D. Now, on the contrary, people with lighter skin colors are more prone to skin cancer, but they absorb vitamin D. It's evolution. Because as people in humanity started in Africa, they moved up north to places like Europe, or south to like southern parts of Africa. Not South Africa, but like southern Africa. And then evolution's like, hey, there's not much UV here, might as well tone down the skin color. So therefore, evolution said, let's make people with lighter skin colors. However, since humans can basically fly, move to other locations easier, this can present risks for people with lighter skin colors. It can produce a cancer risk, and with people with darker skin colors, it can produce a vitamin D deficiency risk. This can be mitigated with sunscreen, vitamin D pills, etc. It's often said that people with that are pregnant should not go to UV areas. That is a thing. Now, interestingly, there is a rare mutation of humanity called albinism. Albinism is the complete absence of melanin. This is not good, because if you don't have melanin in your skin, you're basically very prone to skin cancer. Which is why you'll see a lot of people with albinism avoid the sun. People with albinism also have a problem with vision, which is why you'll see them have glasses. They also have red eyes, because naturally, the reason that albino organisms and people have red eyes is because there's melanin in your eyes, right? For example, the melanin in my eyes make them blue. However, albino people do not have melanin in your eyes, so therefore you can see straight back to the blood vessels that are in the back of their eyes, therefore giving the appearance of red eyes. Oh, you're testing to see if you know what? Where's my channel? There are two types of melanin. There's pheomelanin and eumelanin. If I'm not wrong, eumelanin is responsible for lighter blacks and browns, while pheomelanin is responsible for reds and yellows, which is why a lot of the hair spectrum is, you can be blonde or yellow. When someone's born, there may not be a whole lot of melanin inside of their hair. For example, when I was a very young lad, my hair was yellow, like very yellow. And now because I've developed melanin in my hair, it turned to a dark blonde. If you actually, you can probably already see it. Here's the roots of my hair right here. That this is a dark blonde. Albinism is a recessive trait, which means that you could have the albino trait and you couldn't know it. However, if you marry somebody with a albino trait and you have the albino trait and you're carrying it, you have a 50% chance of giving birth or being a father or mother to a albino child. And if you don't have an albino child, they will have the carrier gene. I learned all of that in the bio of my high school. Which that is so cool. We're gonna be learning about that in my college. So yeah, like now you'll probably notice that the more closer to the equator now, the darker the skin of the inhabitants are. And that is why I love science. But now, however, in societies now, we have all sorts of different skin colors, and this is because people, unlike back then where you could just literally, you have to stay in your own separate place, we have cars, planes, and boats, allowing us to move to different areas, allowing a diversity. So now, humans are no longer restricted, and now we have such a rich environment, which is pretty cool. Don't say sorry if you paused.
In 9 microsieverts an hour.
Now, UV is like, UV is an ionizing radiation, but if you have sunscreen or melanin, you will not be able to absorb it. For example, we did an experiment in my bio class. We have these beads that reacted to UV light. We had 3 sections. We had 1 with no protection, group 2 with sunscreen on top of the petri dish, and group 3 that had tinfoil. Now, a thin layer of sunscreen, or I should say moderately thick layer of sunscreen, protected very well against UV. The UV beads were barely even glowing. Meanwhile, the other ones that were unprotected were really bright and colorful. Excuse me.
I have no idea what it is. I have no idea how it got here. But I'm getting radiation readings all the way from here.
However, the problem is with UV. Happy not spam TM. The hell. UV has wavelengths that are so small you can't see it. However, These wavelengths are so small, they can penetrate your cells. And when they do, they're like bullets that go through your DNA. And guess what? Imagine your DNA, imagine it's like one of those books that you get from a Lego set, and it tells you how to put the Legos together. Yeah. Now, what happens with radiation to your cells is it takes this book, it wets it, burns it, and completely destroys it, okay? Now, imagine trying to build the Lego set, right? You could probably get close, but you're not going to figure out 100% how it's built because now you don't have any instructions. So, like imagine that. You have to build this Lego set, but you don't have any instructions. So you're going to build something very disgusting looking. This is what happens in cells, and that disgusting looking thing is cancer. Now, when cells don't know how to replicate themselves, they make cancer. Yeah, I like science a lot. Cells have a programmed chemical in their brain. When they basically have this chemical, and when this chemical runs out, they die. Now, here's where cancer gets scary. Cells cannot make this own chemical. Cancer cells can, which basically means that cancer cells don't die of age. They're immortal. They're immortal to old age. They produce their own chemical to keep themselves alive. So your cells are dying all the time, and your cells are being remade. Your cells need to die, or else they're going to mutate and basically twist and turn into these awful abominations. However, your cells at an equal rate are replenishing. See this skin right here? The skin on your hand was developed 2 weeks ago, but is being pushed out. The skin, basically on your hand, it's dead. You have dead skin on your hand, which is useful in the fact that dead skin is hydrophobic a little bit, which basically means it has the ability to repel water, which is like if you take a shower, note how the water just rolls a little bit off you, because your hands are slightly hydrophobic. I had a windshield wiper screen that had hydrophobic surfaces on it, and I was able to drive through very small storms, and the water just rolled right off, unless as opposed to it sticking onto the windshield, of course. Now your cells, imagine like what they do is that they replicate, and they have this thing called contact inhibition. Basically, imagine you're trying to like fill up a spot, and you want the cells to stop once it's full. When the cells contact other cells in a spot, they'll say, hey, this spot is full, we don't need any more. Stop making yourself. And they will do that. Now, what's it called? Now, the cells, they'll stop making themselves, and this is great, because now your cells won't overflow. Cancer cells don't have contact inhibition. What happens to them is they basically they replicate over and over and over again, and instead of making this nice flat surface, they start making this glob. This is what we call a tumor. And then we go into the stages of cancer. Stage 1, cancer is detected, it's not yet metastasized. Metastasis is basically when it starts to spread to the body. The problem with cancer is that it attacks everything. It will attack your organs, it'll attack your flesh, it'll attack your bones, it'll do everything. It'll attack everything. Stage 2, it's begun to get bigger but as it spread. Stage 3, it's basically starting to spread through the body, and in stage 4 it's completely metastasized, and there's a large chance that when it's you can cut the tumor off, but this is limited. But once it's fully metastasized, your options of surviving are not completely eliminated, because as of like this decade or the decade before, We've gotten so much better at combating cancer. However, remember how I told you how radiation destroys cells? Actually, yeah, drugs, chemotherapy. Fun fact about chemotherapy, if you have a stomach ache or a headache and you take Advil, congratulations. You just literally diagnose yourselves with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is the use of drugs to treat a condition. So basically, yeah, if you get a headache and you take like a Tylenol, you just took chemotherapy. But it's usually used for cancers. Like, the term is used a lot for cancer. And again, like, you know how, like, radiation basically kills cells, I just said? Well, they found out, hey, we can use radiation, make it into a gun, and shoot it at tumors. And this is actually shown to kill cells. It basically murks cells. Radiation is indiscriminate. It destroys all living cells. And one of these cells that can be destroyed is cancer cells. Well, it depends on what cancer you have. All cancer cases need to be diagnosed with their own kind of like thing, basically. They're all special in their own way. Well, there is actually also a 3-strike rule. If your cell mutates once, it's okay. 2, it's a little bit bad, but it's handleable. But strike 3, you're out. Strike 3 is when cells become cancer, and they can become awful. However, your cells have a little kill switch in them. If your cell detects that it's starting to get cancer, right? Like the cancer will say, cells will say, hey, this cell's becoming cancer. This isn't good. You need to die. And once the cell is detected as being cancerous, the other cells will kill it and force apoptosis, which basically means that your cells force the cancerous cell to explode. And here's the scary thing about cancer. If you lived 1,000 years, right? Let's say your body didn't die of age. You could live 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1,000,000 years, right? And you would get cancer in your lifetime. If you are a woman, you have a 1 in 3 chance of developing cancer. If you're a man, you have a 1 in 2 chance of developing cancer in your lifetime. Interestingly, the most common cancer of women is, guess wrong, it's skin cancer. Mom actually had skin cancer, followed by breast cancer. I don't know what the most common cancer in males are. I'd almost assume skin cancer. But, one of the most dangerous forms is melanoma. Well, what's it called? Here's the thing. And yeah, don't be scared, but you could have a cancer cell right now developing. You could get one in a second, or a few minutes, or an hour, but it's very hard to because your cells are like a police station. They'll enforce your body, and if they detect that a cancer cell is about to form, they'll usually try, and with really good success, to kill the cell. So like a major part of the time, major part of the time your cells will die that are trying to become cancer before they even become cancer. So they're basically stopped in their tracks. However, as I was saying, one of the most bad ones are melanoma. If you see a black dot or black mass on your face, immediately tell the doctor. Melanoma is extremely aggressive. If you do not diagnose melanoma very early, you're basically finished. If you do catch it early, then you can get rid of it very fast. Now, I'm taking like a black mass, almost like anthrax looking mass on your face. It's very obvious. But sadly, it's a thing of the. It's a thing. But we are. I forgot what the process is called. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, a lot of the. Like if your cells did not have apoptosis, I can imagine you'd have cancer before you're the age of like 20. very quickly, like more often. But your cells are your best friends. They'll basically help detect cancer before it becomes cancer most of the time, and it'll stop it. Now, ways to avoid cancer is exposed exposing yourself to a ton of radiation. Now, for example, the lowest 1-year radiation dose is 1,000 or 100 millisieverts, 100,000 microsieverts, right? Now, over my lifetime, I did a calculation here. Till my 17th birthday, I absorbed 77,000 sieverts over 17 years, which is pretty good. Alexa, what's 77,000 divided by 17?
77,000 divided by 17 is approximately 4,529.4118.
So that's pretty good. 4 millisieverts a year, which is a little bit higher because I live in radon areas. But yeah. So I have like so yeah, you actually 99% of your dose from radiation is going to come from background. There's a thing called radon, and radon is this invisible, odorless, colorless, tasteless gas. It comes from the earth and cracked bedrock segments. Radon, in lower concentrations, it's not really that safe, or it's not really that bad. In higher concentrations, like Woodford County, Illinois, it could be dangerous. I live in Woodford County, as it is said. We have a lot of radon here, and that's why it's a little bit more radioactive if you come to Woodford than other places. If you live in the central U.S., like if you live in the southeast coast, like the deep south, southeast, along the east coast, you should be pretty good for radon. But, or like the lower west coast is also pretty safe. But if you live in like Central America, like we do, yeah, I suggest finding your county if you live in the United States, and you Google radon per county. Excuse me. Yeah, I suggest you do that. So how do you absorb radiation? Well, right now, you're absorbing radiation right now from radon. You cannot avoid it. You can also get radiation from eating banana, but in order to kill yourself from eating a banana, radiation from bananas, you'd have to eat a cargo crate of bananas. So a banana gives you 0.1 microsieverts. To give you the amount of radiation in a day, which is 10 microsieverts, you have to eat 100 bananas to give you a day's worth of radiation, which you probably couldn't even get through like 5, let alone 100. And then you'd have to get, at bare minimum, like 10 to 20 million bananas within a single sitting to kill yourself. I don't think, like, no, that's not racist. I mean, that's a thing, because I don't have a lot of melanin in my skin. I'm not protected. However, no matter your skin color, go back to this, you have the same amount of melanocytes. Melanocytes produce melanin for you. They're like little factories. Everybody has the same amount of melanocytes. Yeah, it is true. However, we get a lot of D3. A lot of vitamin D, we get that more. However, we do get more cancer, which is why people say wear sunscreen. Because guess what a skin cancer is? Melanoma. And a simple thing to keep you from getting melanoma is just wear sunscreen. Though that few dollars of sunscreen and that few minutes you take to put it on could save your life. Just think about that. it could save your life. Alright, another miniature story. I remember once when we were learning about the radium girls in my class, which actually, fun fact, because I live in Illinois, I live a very short distance away from where the radium girls worked. I think the factory's been torn down, and there was extensive radioactive contamination. Like, you know what? That's a video I need to do one day. I need to go to Ottawa, Illinois. It's on I-39. I live really close to Bloomington, Illinois, which Bloomington, Illinois is the birthplace of I-39. So I can really get there very easily. I've been to Ottawa. If you don't know, the radium girls were told this. Well, we should go back. Let's back up a little bit. Radium. Radium is a radioactive element. Fun fact, you can actually take radium on the periodic table and you can spell my name with it. Because my name is R-A-Y-C-E, and if you take radium, R-A, you can spell like the first 2 letters of my name. Followed by yttrium and cerium. Anyway, radium was this pretty interesting element. It is very radioactive. It makes uranium look safe. Sorry, I'm trying to burp. It took several tons of uranium to produce a little bit of radium. Now, radium was hailed as the cure-all. It would cure, quote, any ailments, including, quote, female weakness. And I'm not being sexist, that's actually what they claimed. Yes, I'm not joking. It claimed female weakness. Although, I think female weakness is the last thing you want to worry about when you can just consume radium. Anyway, radium was combined with zinc sulfide. And if you do this, it glows a radioactive glow. Now, this was called undark. Now imagine this. This isn't the 1920s, okay? You know how like you can get an alarm clock, right? And it can have the smallest little LEDs? I don't know. Now, right now we have things called the light emitting diode. And light emitting diodes, would you rather take 1,000 pounds of uranium to condense it to a little bit of radium? Would you rather just spend the same amount of money and get like thousands of LEDs? LEDs are more cost efficient and safe. What LED stands for is light emitting diode. Basically, Thomas Edison's light bulb, smaller and on coke, and more energy efficient. Anyway, actually fun fact, light bulbs, if you think they last a little bit, a light bulb back then when they were first made would last like 30 seconds and it'd burn out. Talk about replacing light bulbs. Anyway, going on, keep on topic. Now, radium was hailed as this cure-all solution, and it was like if you quote took it, it would cure you of any illness. It was like almost like something handed down from God. But today we know radium is very dangerous. The half-life of natural uranium is like 600 million years. The most stable, like there's no stable radium isotopes. All of them are radioactive. The least the most radioactive radium has a half-life of 1,600 years. Okay, 1,600. Oh, that tree scared me. 1,600 years of radioactivity means it's very radioactive. Now, uranium is relatively weakly radioactive. Like that rock I scanned would not be as radioactive as that radium. Now, again, yeah. For example, a uranium atom usually takes about 200 to 700 million years to decay. Radium atoms take at most 1,600, meaning that radium, again, is far, I think up to 1 million times more radioactive than uranium. So radium is dangerous. You should not be touching it. Now, the uranium girls would by the shop, okay? Imagine this. Imagine someone says, hey, you can make $1,000 a day, which, I mean, my job, I make $200 a week. So if someone came up saying, you can make $1,000 a day, hell yeah. That's amazing. By the way, $200 a week is minimum wage. It's not special. To me, it is. Like where somebody makes like probably like 1,000, maybe 3,000 a week. I'm poor. I work as a dishwasher. I love my job, but I make $1,000 a week, okay? And all I gotta do is sit down 8 hours a day, maybe 12, and paint 250 dials a day. That's all I gotta do. Each dial, you just paint it, you go. 250 a day, which is a lot, but you could do it. $1,000 a day. That's a steal. And plus, hey, we have this stuff called radium. If you work around it, you will never get sick. And it's great. So a lot of women said, hey, this is a hell of a job opportunity. Because, now remember, this is the 1920s. Women weren't really treated that equal. And imagine you as a woman who's not being treated equally getting a job where you get paid $1,000 an hour in today's money. That's a steal. That's a good job. So they painted these dials, and one tip they said is if you took the brush and you spun it in your lips like this, like you could if you'd actually take I'll be right back, chat. Here, stay on. I'll be right back. I won't take more than like 5 minutes. I know my dog goes out. I'll be back. Please don't leave. I'm gonna have to go back and let them back in. Anyway. So, you know. So, if you took your fingers, if you have a paintbrush, try this, okay? Take your fingers, and now squeeze the brush and spin it. This makes your brush into a fine tip. And it was emphasized that accuracy and, like, the accuracy of painting these dials is very important, okay? Why would you want to pay for a messy dial when you can pay for a clean one? So they said, take these radium-tipped brushes and paint them, and tip your mouth, which this wasn't really seen as a problem, because radium, to the women that worked this place, was not seen as dangerous, although radium is dangerous. By the way, the men downstairs of the same factory wore hazmat stuff. They took tongs to handle the radium. They were purposely not getting exposed to this stuff, so they knew it was bad. But the managers were awful, and they didn't tell the women up top that this stuff was toxic. The men down low did. That they knew it was toxic. They took every precaution to get it away from them. And by the way, let me tell you, I saw a place and it's barrel stored of this stuff. Like, it's awful. It's haphazard. Anyway, here's where it gets bad. After, you know, like you're at a restaurant, you might eat some of the extra food. Well, the girls would paint their nails and, ready? Their teeth. So they would go to the mirror and they would see their teeth glowing in the dark. Yes, they painted their teeth with this. Now, there's a rule with radiation. Radiation is extremely dangerous, or the source is extremely dangerous if you ingest it. For example, if that rock, if I ate a fraction of it, I would probably not be here today. I'd probably be in a hospital. But because it's on the outside of my skin, because skin can actually block a lot of that radiation, big disclaimer, alpha radiation is mostly stopped by your skin. Beta radiation, gamma, will go right through. This rock, a lot of things you'll find is alpha, but like the transuranics and a lot more higher end radioactive elements, like I don't know what a lot of gamma producers are, but gamma and beta, you're not safe. Do not try to handle them. Anyway, that being said, radium, if it was outside your body, it's okay if you limit your exposure. Which when I say limit your exposure, I'm saying like don't have this thing next to you at all times, right? Because I have a radium dial, and a few minutes or maybe even an hour handling it without breaking it would be okay, but like multiple days on end would cause problems without like stopping. Fun fact, basements are a little bit more radioactive than your top floors because of radon, but they're usually not that harmful unless you have higher radon levels. Anyway, so here's a problem about radium. If you go to the periodic table, radium is on the same group. By the way, group is a vertical row, and a period is a horizontal row of the periodic table. You want to know what radium is on the same group as? Calcium. So, this means that radium deposits itself in your bones almost exactly like calcium, except radium replaces the calcium in your bones and actually takes it up. Now, remember how I said it's more dangerous in your body? Basically, it turned their bones into a microscopic honeycomb so bad that a simple fall would most likely break their legs. This one girl who was saying she was feeling pain in her jaw, okay, if you're really, it's gonna get gruesome. I'm gonna explain a really bad, disgusting scene. Basically, she went to the dentist, and again, if you don't want a really disgusting detail, you might want to turn your volume down for the next 1 minute. The doctor was inspecting your jaw, and it fell out. Usually your jaw is stuck to your skull. It fell out. And like, one by one, their teeth started falling out. One by one. Tooth by tooth. And they didn't know why. However, a lot of doctors were diagnosing it as syphilis, which is an STI, which was there was a lot of people that died from radium factories, but syphilis is a STI, and you know what that is, a SE, transmitted infection, and syphilis back then was used as a thing to ruin the reputations of women, like, oh, she got syphilis, like all that stuff. But this wasn't syphilis. This was severe radiation poisoning, which is a big no-no. So, one by one, these girls started getting sick, their jaws started falling out, tumors the size of softballs started forming, and here's where your faith in humanity might go away. These stupid American Radium higher-ups kept denying the dangers of radium. However, scientists like Madame Curie, who discovered it, died from radiation poisoning because of her experiments, and the person who invented Undark died as well. So people like at this time, radium was starting to get a nasty reputation, but the negative effects were thoroughly denied. Because, you know, imagine you have a product that's claiming a tons of money, right? Would you like, would you rather lie and make a bunch of money or come out and lose tons? No, you're going to want to make a lot of money because this is the 1920s. There were no morals in today's corporate giants. There still aren't no moral companies. You could die for Amazon, they'd still want to sell you things and they'd still be okay with it. But they were ferociously denying these women rights. However, it took them like by the way, these losers actually kept running their company until the 1970s when they were shut down and they were permanently sued. But eventually later, the women did win the lawsuit and American Radium was sued very thoroughly. Although maybe you did, but these guys, no, they're going to keep every cent. Now, sadly these women were so irradiated they had to be buried in lead caskets. Like the grave site is slightly radioactive to where they are buried. And you know what the sadder thing is? These women died in their 20s. They were very young, healthy people until they came in contact with radium. And they didn't know its toxicity. Although, again, they started to figure out radium was not a good thing to have. By 1950s, I would say, a lot of their radium dials were cut because in 1950 or the 1940s, uranium from public use or public owning was banned. However, you might be like, why do I have uranium then? Anyway, later the government would actually lift the uranium ban, and you can actually own a little bit of uranium. However, it's illegal to own plutonium. Don't own plutonium. Even if I could own plutonium, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to go anywhere near plutonium. It is way more radioactive than uranium. It's dangerous. It catches on fire if it just exists. Plutonium fires are nasty. Don't want to deal with those. Plutonium is notorious. It's a boogeyman. It will kill you without discrimination. Be back. I gotta go let my fur babies in. Take like 2 minutes. What happened while I was gone? That's why I consider American Radium to be an absolute trash corporation. American Radium deserved everything that they got. What a garbage corporation. One of the worst in American history. And luckily, thankfully, those women did a very great thing. I can rewind my stream. Anyway. Because of the Radium Girls today, we have extensive measures to make sure stuff like this doesn't happen. For example, the most common thing, and one of the most hailed things that came from this is OSHA, which, as annoying as OSHA is very crucial because they will make sure that a workplace is safe. They will fine you thousands of dollars a day if you don't even have handrails, which, again, it sounds stupid, but humans are human lives, and life is the most important thing over money, right? That $1,000 to spend to put onto handrails is better than a life. You can get money back. You can't get human lives back. Once human life is gone, it's gone. So that OSHA was founded because of these guys, or partially because. And now the workplace is now much stricter. And now it's less common. Oh, humans? Oh yeah, we're the most invasive species on the freaking planet Earth. Think about it, we destroy everything we come in contact with. I mean, every bit of nature you've seen, how much nature have you seen been destroyed by humans? It's kind of funny how we call their species invasives when we are the most parasitic organism on the Earth. Man. Again. You think of radiation incidents. What makes me mad about the feds? The feds think the feds are trying to suppress people, but hey feds. Back then, they did a lot of nuclear tests, and they had his. Yeah, they are. The Gov, or the feds, basically had these nuke spots in the Mariana Islands, and one crater, Castle Bravo, when they nuked that crater, or they made that crater, they had a bunch of soldiers clean it up. They didn't tell these men about radioactive hazards. They didn't give them any Geiger counters to detect radiation. They didn't even give them a warning or any protective equipment. They just said, hey, go clean this up. And a lot of those people that did clean it up got cancer, and a lot of them are uncompensated. So a lot of them didn't even get paid to clean it up. They were not getting their diagnosis and their medical bills paid for. That is just evil right there. Like, our poor soldiers had to go clean up that stuff. I like how I like it when the feds try to pretend they have a clean background. Let's see, that crater incident, Waco. Waco was a clown show. Ruby Ridge, like, this guy was, I have nowhere to put anything. Oh, the Russians were evil too, with the Gulag system. Basically, a lot back in World War II, Germany and Russia. I think Russia actually killed more people than Germany from the Gulag system. But well, there's a place, the Baltic Sea, is that it's called? The Baltic Sea, which was owned by the Germans. Because a lot of them was owned by Germans and the Russians seized them, a lot of citizens were arrested because they were, quote, helping the Germans. Again, this is the time when the Russian or the Soviet Union was betrayed by Germany, and they hated Germany at this point in the war. So they sent a bunch of these people, men, children, women, all that. I don't know a whole lot about World War I. All I know is it was started by the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. And it was the first use of tanks, modernized guns, and chemical warfare. But anyway, men, women, and children were literally hauled off into cattle cars, very similar to the Holocaust, actually. And they were sent to these gulags where they were forced to build stuff. And when you basically had you had a little bit of bread, right? And the fist of your fist size of bread, that's how much you'd get every single day. And you were forced to build your own house. And by the way, if you think that's bad, this is in the polar Arctic Circle, right? So this is where everything is cold. Like, if you do not have layers on, you will not survive. I'm not really a big fan of reading books, but there's this book called Between Shades of Grey. It's a very good book. I don't really like reading books a whole lot, but it's a very good book about the Gulag system. But over their existence, the Soviets would murder more people than Germany in World War II, which is just evil. I think a lot of governments are evil. So the Soviet Union is actually why China is a communist state. It's called the domino effect. Back then, the United States loved capitalism. The Soviet Union loved communism and socialism. So they go to China and they say, hey, look, this is communism. This is a great way to run your government. And so China's like, okay, we're kind of, might be struggling a little bit over here. Let's try communism. So they do that and they're like, hey, we like communism. Like, very, very oversimplified, but we love communism. We're gonna do this. Here's where a problem happened. Guess what else happened? So USS goes over to Korea and says, hey, look, your buddy China likes communism. What if you did it too? And the US is like, okay, hell no. We aren't gonna let you go to communism. Starts the Korean War, which fights over the 38th parallel, which, you know how you see those lines on your globe? Those are called, the vertical ones are called meridians, I think. The other ones are called... This is a brutal war, and eventually, after the war ended, Korea split into what is now today North and South Korea, which is divided roughly among the 38th parallel, also known as the demilitarized zone. If you try to cross this zone, you will be sniped, destroyed by a landmine, you will die. There is no way, or rarely any way, to cross the DMZ. It's one of the most dangerous spots on Earth. It's very notorious for how many people die there. But that's interesting how history works. Or a fact that United States didn't really like people spreading empires. Like, we literally rebelled over Britain because we didn't like them being we didn't like being in their empire. But guess what? That's, you know what's funny? It's the fact that in the 1890s, the U.S. would try to annex like Cuba and Guam, American Samoa, the Virgin Islands. We try to annex them. Oh, North Korea is, like, in terms of like governing, is obviously the worst nation. I'd rather live in China. And I don't think that people there are bad. The government is awful. I look at like the places to live in terms of government, not really people. Because I think a lot of people in every country is pretty decent. But like the government in North Korea is obviously bad. Like right now, it is very hard to escape North Korea. It's actually sad because a lot of them will bring rat poison because if they get caught, they'd rather die than go to a labor camp. You're only allowed to have like 23 different haircuts. You have to have, like, imagine this, like, we live in America. You have to have the picture of George Washington on your thing. If you're not, jail time. Oh, wait, is your hair a different color like mine? Jail time. Oh, do you like, oh, did you say you don't like our government? Jail time. Jail time, jail time. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to give you jail time. Nope, you're gonna be working in a freaking labor camp where you will be fed very minimally. Yeah, like, imagine where you live. Imagine you have to have a portrait of like your the leader of your country, or else you'll be arrested. Imagine if you say something bad, you'll be arrested as well, and then you're going to be sent to a prison camp, which are awful because it's North Korea. Also, oh, are you a man? Well, guess what? You have to serve in the military. If you don't, labor camp for you. Every North Korean male is subjected to have to spend at least, I think, 10 years in their military. No ifs, ands, or buts. Their government is the epitome of human rights violation. Do you like God? Nope. We don't want you here. Also, no religion is allowed inside of North Korea. Almost. I think, honestly, Government should be scared of people. Think about it. There's more North Korean citizens than there are government officials. They can easily, if they wanted to, if they all contributed together, they could overthrow. And the sad thing is, North Korea used to be a very rich nation because the Soviet Union would pay for their stuff, right? However, the day after Christmas of '91, the Soviet Union was officially dismembered into 13 different Union states. One of them is Ukraine. Others are like Kazakhstan, I think Belarus. I live in an okay place. The politics here are so awful. Like, I love guns and you can't own them. In my opinion, I think American politics or politicians are some of the most evil people you can possibly be with. Both sides. It makes me so irate. I'm sorry, I don't really come out by my political views a lot, but I don't like either side. They're awful. It's called the United States, and they both fight, bicker, and argue like kids. It's annoying, because nothing gets done. Like, right now the topic is literally like pride rights and stuff like that. Like, can we just give people their rights? Like, hey, look at the power grid. That was built in the 1920s. It's starting to fall apart. Or how many times do I go on an interstate for Illinois and it's destroyed? It's always bad. Like, for example, if you go to Hudson, Illinois and I-39, the ramps there are ass. Like, they suck. Or it makes me scared, honestly. The debt. We're broke. America's broke. We don't have any money. We're $39 trillion in debt. That's $39 billion times 1,000. Like, we're screwed. Oh, man. Like, our economy is so bad right now. Not as bad as Russia's economy. I feel like... I'm talking about America. It sucks because I feel like it passed post-COVID. It's stupid political. Like before COVID, no matter your ethnicity or orientation, whatever that stuff, everybody got along back then. But now it's like post-COVID, everybody hates each other and there's so much hate. I have no idea why. Also, America's a country where, like, one person can do a really bad crime and then the entire group that person's from will be completely just discriminated against. America is the same country. Yeah, remember, if you think Americans are smart, Americans are the people that hate people that in the 1960s hated people of color, but also really consensually consumed radium. Are you gonna tell me that's? Oh my God, people are so dumb. If the country can't get any dumber, we're like the only one of 3 countries that uses Imperial. I hate Imperial. It sucks. Well, a lot of them are. Mostly the DC people. The DC politicians. But, okay, you ready for this? How many meters are in a kilometer? 1,000. How about in a mega meter? 1,000,000 meters. Okay, how many feet in a mile? Like, okay, guys, we're addressing how many feet will be in a mile. You, 6,000? No, get out of here, you're fired. About you, 2,500? No, burn you. How many people... Actually, you might be right on there, but... How many, about you, Tom? 5,280? Tom, you're getting a raise, Tom. Screw the people that said there should be like 6,000 feet in a mile or 2,000. No, we have to go with 5,280. Like, was that like a dice roll? Like, can't find out. Let's roll dice. Oh, got 5,280. The only thing that's good about miles is that, you know, the Earth is 24,000 miles in circumference, but that's the only reason I like miles. And plus, it is. Like, every Imperial nation or nation that uses Imperial, 50 people use metric. 50 to 70 people use metric. It is the... I actually have given up Fahrenheit completely, and I use Celsius. Like, the only reason I don't give up metric completely is because of the, is because of speed, you know? You have red circles, signs with red circles on the outside, and that's kilometers an hour, but we have miles an hour. We don't work like that. I'm kind of jealous. But why did we go metric? I've always made a joke, like, because 88 millimeters, how many centimeters? 1.8. It's, because the thing is about meters, you can blow it down to the size of quarks, subatomic particles, or you could blow it up to entire galaxies. With miles, you can't, you could probably do a kilomile, but that's stupid. That's like trying to mix red and purple to make orange. Like, it's not gonna work. Or the fact this country doesn't go nuclear completely. People are so scared over nuclear. Literally, the most severe nuclear accident we've had was 3 Mile Island, and that was contained. Meanwhile, you know, Soviets built the RBMKs. Those are awful reactors. Those are built poorly. Okay, as much as I really want to talk, sadly, I have to go. I will hopefully be back tomorrow after 1 o'clock my time. I have to go put my hours in, get my hands dirty. Yeah, sorry guys. Thanks for watching. You actually are really fun to talk to. I enjoy when I can talk to people and I'm not just lonely. Thanks guys. I'll be on later, hopefully. See ya.